You were trained. Trained to smile when your throat was tight, to apologize for breathing too loud, to explain your intentions until your dignity sounded like a voicemail. Somewhere along the way, you confused being agreeable with being good, and the world kept cashing that confusion like a blank check. Not because people are evil, because people are wired to test the limits you don't enforce. He respected control. He understood a brutal truth most of us won't say out loud. Approval is a leash. Respect is a door. One traps you. One opens when you knock like you mean it. I learned this standing in a hallway that smelled like coffee and cheap victory. The ask was dressed in flattery, dipped in urgency, and handed to me like a test I could only pass by sacrificing myself. I smiled, said no problem, and felt my spine fold in on itself. That night, I stared at the ceiling and realized I wasn't kind. I was compliant. I was that dependable bridge everyone drove across until it cracked and they blamed the weather. The next morning, something in me went still. Not angry, not dramatic, still. I made a promise I want you to make with me. I will stop negotiating my self-respect for crumbs of approval. If you feel that, drop this in the comments. Respect over approval. Let's get clear on the law we're writing into your bones. Ruthless respect. Not cruelty, not arrogance. Ruthless because it doesn't wobble under guilt. Respect because it protects your value without noise. This is the switch that turns a nice person into a person who cannot be mishandled. You don't announce it, you enact it, and the room learns. Nice is reactive. It says yes because silence feels rude. It overexplains because rejection feels unsafe. Clear is deliberate. It asks, what serves the outcome? What protects the standard? What preserves my peace? Then it answers with a sentence, not an essay. Period. Watch how your body exhales when your sentence ends with a spine instead of a question mark. Clarity isn't cold. It's merciful. It saves everyone time, and it teaches your nervous system that you can survive the sound of your own boundary. People will test this new tone. They'll guilt trip. They'll joke. Don't fight the label. Wear the rule. Every time you explain less, your value speaks more. Drop this in the comments. I don't explain my worth. I enforce it. To live clear, you must control what the eye sees before the ear hears. Rooms judge posture before they parse logic. If you walk in pre-apologizing, fast nod, soft laugh, hands up, the room hears one thing. Take more. Slow your blink. Find the chair that faces the door. Sit like you're allowed to. Breathe through your nose. The first voice in the room doesn't have to be yours, but when it is, make it low and precise. Most people mistake volume for power. Machiavelli would laugh. Power is pace. Power is silence that makes the impatient show their hand. People cannot misprice a presence that does not beg. Number 2, turn kindness into currency. Approval-chasing kindness is free. Strategic kindness is priced. It flows where respect already lives and returns stronger. You help the friend who only calls with emergencies and then disappeared the moment you needed 30 minutes? Price that. You bent your schedule for a client who pays late and argues early. Price that. You repeated yourself 3 times to someone who forgot your boundary? Price that. Nice waits for fairness. Respected sets terms. This is where dark psychology stops being a scary phrase and becomes your seatbelt. People respond to incentives, not intentions. So set the incentive. You don't threaten, you design. Access tightens when disrespect rises. Access expands when respect compounds. The nice you gave away recklessly becomes the generosity you invest precisely. And here's the twist. The people who deserve you will feel safer, not punished. Standards are blankets for the loyal and alarms for the opportunistic. Drop this. My kindness has standards. Probably, at first, that's the detox. For years, you train them to expect you on demand. Midnight replies, emergency empathy, free expertise wrapped in a smile that tasted like exhaustion. You built that machine. You can shut it down. How? Stop feeding it with your speed. Stop feeding it with your essays. Stop feeding it with your fear of being misunderstood.
Machiavelli warned rulers about lavish gifts that buy short-term praise but bankrupt long-term authority. You're the ruler here. Your resources are your time, attention, and calm. Spend them like a sovereign, not a street vendor. Number 3, let silence do the policing. Nice talks too much. It tries to preempt discomfort with explanations. It tries to negotiate with people who only respond to consequence. Silence is not a tantrum, it's a tactic. It starves games of the oxygen they need, your reaction. The next time someone sends bait, wow, must be nice to have boundaries when other people are drowning. Don't defend. Let the message sit. Count to 8. That's it. No exhale of guilt packaged as kindness. Silence will feel cruel the first few times because you've been soothing other people's discomfort to avoid your own. Breathe. Sit in the heat. It cools. And when it cools, you discover a secret. People adjust to boundaries the way they adjust to winter. They complain, then they buy a coat. Here's a scene you've lived. Your day is already a Jenga tower. You say yes because the ask felt friendly. 30 minutes later, your tower is on the floor, and the quick call was a venting session about a problem they don't want to solve. You hang up feeling hollow and oddly guilty. That's not friendship, that's consumption. Ruthless respect fixes it without burning the relationship. Next time, I can do 10 minutes at 5:30. You didn't become mean, you became precise. You didn't abandon them, you gave them a container that respects both of you. If they don't want a container, they wanted your energy, not your help. That's data. Drop this. My time is a container, not a sponge. Number 4, stop apologizing for standards. Nice apologizes for existing. Sorry, sorry, but, sorry to bother. You haven't bothered anyone. You've been bending your voice into a parenthesis around other people's comfort. Replace 5 apologies a day with gratitude or clarity. Watch the microstorm of guilt crash and pass without dragging you into it. Your nervous system has been conditioned to associate boundary with danger. It's not danger, it's adulthood. The people who thrive near you will feel the upgrade. The people who fed on your softness will feel starvation. That's the point. Let's add a story because stories stick. A designer I know used to say yes to every edit, every extra, every tiny change that sucked an hour from his night. His clients loved him, and he hated himself. One day he changed one line in his proposal, 2 rounds included. He didn't change his smile, he changed his structure. Guess what happened? Half the tiny changes evaporated. Nothing mystical. People make fewer requests when requests cost something. The other half gladly paid because now the work felt heavier, more respected, even to them. He didn't become cruel, he became calculable. That's what standards do. They make your value measurable instead of magical. Magic is fun until it kills the magician. Stronger, cleaner. When your yes is no longer a reflex, it becomes a gift. When your silence is no longer a sulk, it becomes patience. When your price is no longer hidden, it becomes trust. The nice version of you drowned in resentment because you confused love with unconditional access. The respected version of you can love for a lifetime because you protect the container that love lives in, your peace. Drills, because drama doesn't change behavior, reps do. For the next 48 hours, do these 4 without editing yourself into excuses. 1. Replace 3 sorries with either thank you or nothing. 2. When someone asks for a decision, ask 1 clarifying question before answering. Buy your brain those 4 seconds of sovereignty. 3. Put 1 thing behind a door.
D&D for 60 minutes, or a response window for messages, or one night a week without screens. 4. Write one standard as a sentence and enforce it once. No speech, just the switch. The people who truly value you won't leave because you stood up. They might wobble, they might recalibrate, but they won't leave. The rest? Let them. You are not a sacrificial altar for anyone's comfort. You are a person with a life to build and a mind to rule. Let no one confuse your kindness for permission to cross you. Let no one confuse your silence for consent. Let no one confuse your availability for ownership.
If you felt yourself sit up while listening, good. That's your spine remembering its job. Write your pledge where temptation can see it. I am done buying approval with pieces of myself. And drop one line in the comments so it echoes back when you need it. I enforce, I don't explain. In the next part, we'll take this law from personal to public. How to command rooms without raising your voice, how to reward loyalty without becoming dependent, and how to use absence to make your presence expensive and unforgettable. For now, breathe. Your nice was a costume. Your respect is the person who takes it off and walks forward. You learned how to stop selling your soul for approval. Good. Now we take it public. The hallway becomes a boardroom. The text thread becomes a table. The familiar faces become an audience that doesn't clap, yet. This is where nice people tend to relapse. They think respect requires speeches. It doesn't. Respect requires design. Rooms don't remember what you said. They remember what your presence did to their pace, their tone, their decisions. From here on, we engineer that. Number 5, become the calm center of every storm. Nice matches the room. Respect resets the room. When the meeting starts jittery, the fake laughs, the frantic, quick updates, the pressure masquerading as urgency, you do not accelerate to prove you care. You decelerate to prove you're in command. Your voice drops a half step. Your sentences get shorter. Your gaze stops wandering. Watch the air change. Watch the side conversations die. Watch the loudest person become the quietest. Because speed loses power when clarity enters. You didn't raise your voice. You raised the standard. Drop this. My calm changes rooms. Here's a story for your bones. I watched a quiet woman walk into a pitch where a louder competitor had already dazzled the room with slides and metaphors and heat. Silence. Then truth. Within 10 minutes, the dazzler was irrelevant. She owned the room because she owned the problem. People respect the one who protects outcomes, not egos. That's the law. Be the one who asks the lethal question and holds eye contact until the answer shows up. Number 6, reward loyalty without becoming dependent on it. Nice tries to repay every kindness with endless access. Ruthless respect pays in precision. When someone shows you loyalty, don't drown them in gratitude. Give them clarity, credit, and a cleaner path to win beside you. That might look like sharing the stage, not your spine. It might look like better terms, not unchecked favors. Dependency turns loyalty into leverage, someone else's fingers on your thermostat. Respect keeps loyalty in its highest form, voluntary, reciprocal, and renewable. When a loyal person falters, you correct privately and calibrate publicly. You don't let their off day become your off standard. That's how mutual respect stays elastic without snapping. Drop this. I honor loyalty. I don't rent my peace to it. There's a test I use that reveals hearts without drama. I give a boundary and a responsibility together. I'm offline after 8. If they honor the boundary and deliver the result, they're with you. If they blow the boundary to perform devotion, they're with your approval. Those aren't the same. The first builds trust. The second breeds chaos dressed like care. Your job is not to reward the most dramatic sacrifice. Your job is to reinforce the cleanest consistency. Number 7, use absence to make your presence expensive. Constant presence breeds casual treatment. Mystery is not manipulation, it's maintenance. You do not have to broadcast every move to be valuable. In fact, value multiplies when you disappear to build. Here's how it plays in the wild. You stop being the first reply in every thread. You show up with finished work, not half-finished availability. You decline the panel that wants your energy without your rate. You skip the debate that wants your reaction, not your mind. The first week, they'll say you've changed. The second, they'll say you're difficult. The third, they'll adjust. Human nature moves from complaint to compliance faster than you think when the standard doesn't blink. Absence also clarifies who respects you versus who uses you. The ones who only text when they need a fix will fade. The ones who check on your oxygen, not your output, get closer. That's the circle you build inside the noise. Not fans, not parasites.
Builders, mirrors, and harbors, the three chairs who make you sharper, braver, steadier. Everyone else can wave from the door without entering the vault. Drop this. My absence has a purpose. Number 8, speak in terms and consequences, not pleas and promises. Terms are not threats, they're maps. Consequences are not punishments, they're physics. When you say, if we miss this timeline, scope shrinks, and then shrink it without a lecture, you teach faster than a 3-page email ever could. When you say, if you raise your voice, I end the call, and then end it the first time, you close the loophole permanently. People don't learn from your pain, they learn from your pattern. Now, rooms. Let's dissect the mechanics of commanding them without noise. First 5 seconds, posture and pace. Enter like you already solved something, not like you're seeking permission to exist. You're not rushing to earn air, you're bringing air with you. First sentence, name the outcome or the risk. It's surgical. Then you listen with your eyes, not your mouth. Predators in power disguise themselves as performers. They love to monologue. Let them. Your silence will make them stretch past their script and expose their real motive. When you finally speak, remove 3 adjectives from your sentence and cut 10% of your words. Precision is authority's accent. When someone tries to corner you, pull the pressure valve with time. Good question. Now you're driving. Half the room won't. You just saved an hour. Chairs turn toward the person who saves hours. But what about attack? The moment always comes. The subtle dig. The performative sigh. You will be tempted to defend your character. Don't. Defending character in public is like trying to catch smoke with the net. Instead, defend the standard. We don't do sarcasm. Or, I don't respond to tone. Now the room has to pick a side. Standards or sniping. Most people want permission to behave well. Give it to them by requiring it. Let's walk through a story. You're presenting a plan. A colleague interrupts, wraps a disagreement in a joke, and waits for the room to laugh with him. Old you chuckles, then fills the silence with soft explanations. New you lets the laugh die on its own. They blink. You nod once. They do. You answer plainly. The room exhales. You just taught everyone how to disagree without disrespect, and you did it without raising your voice. That's ruthless respect. Not letting the standard drop, even if it would make you look more likable in the moment. Rewards matter too. Publicly reinforce behavior you want multiplied. People don't become disciplined because you lecture. They become disciplined because you light up the right muscles in the open where everyone can see which muscles earn access. Now negotiation, where nice goes to die and respect is born. Your leverage isn't your passion. It's your alternatives and your willingness to use them. Enter with a walk away that doesn't hurt you. State your terms once, then trade, don't plead. Each trade tethered to a logic. If they press for a number before they show the map, you say, I price problems, not hopes. Quiet after. Let the silence make them work. The first voice to fill the gap loses altitude. One more story, because this one saves years. A young founder pitched investors who were circling like they were doing him a favor. He kept explaining the heart of his mission, beautiful, but it made him sound hungry. Mid-meeting, he shifted. If this isn't a fit, I'll pass. The entire room sat up. He wasn't posturing. He had a list of names he wouldn't take money from. He had alternatives. He had absence ready. He kept his price because he kept his peace. He closed with the right partners at his number. Respect is expensive because it refuses the cheap yes. Let's anchor this with drills you can run for the next 72 hours. 1. In every conversation, ask one outcome question before giving opinions. 2. Replace one apology at work with a boundary stated as terms. 3. Enforce one consequence once, quietly, cleanly. 4. Leave one chat unread until your planned block. Respond in your tone, not theirs. 5. Compliment one person publicly for discipline, not charm. These are small, but small is where kingdoms are won or lost. You might feel the old guilt crawl up your spine.
Good. That's proof you're moving. You're not becoming cruel. You're becoming credible. You're not losing your heart. You're giving it a home. If this part tightened your posture, say it so the old version of you hears it and sits down. I reset rooms. I protect outcomes. I price my peace. In the final part, we'll lock this law into your identity. How to become unconfusable, how to carry selective loyalty without paranoia, and how to build a reputation that moves ahead of you like a shield. For now, hold the standard. The world respects the person who doesn't flinch. You've stopped trading yourself for approval. You've learned to reset rooms without raising your voice. You've priced your peace and paid in precision. Good. This is where Machiavelli's law of ruthless respect stops being a tactic and becomes a temperament. It lives in your spine, not your speeches. It lives in your calendar, not your captions. It lives in your smallest choices when no one is watching and everyone will live with the result. Start by becoming unconfusable. Old you would defend your character and hand them a manual for manipulation. New you refuses the frame. You don't argue with names, you clarify your nature. You are principled, not pliable. You are calm, not cold. You are selective, not selfish. You say this out loud once, mostly to yourself. My standard is not a mood. Then you prove it across time until the label gets bored and leaves. When someone throws a narrative at you, respond with a rule or with silence. Let your pattern be the answer. Drop this in the comments so your nerves remember. Law over mood. Selective loyalty is next. Most people give loyalty like flowers, pretty, free, and dead in a week. You'll give it like an investment, measured, monitored, and compounding if it performs. That doesn't make you paranoid, it makes you precise. Here's how it looks in real life. You align with people who respect outcomes and edges. You test with small stakes first. You watch their behavior under 3 pressures: time, truth, and temptation. Do they keep pace without drama? Do they tell you what you don't want to hear when it matters? Do they stay ethical when shortcuts look shiny? Pass those and your loyalty deepens. Fail those and your access shrinks without a courtroom. You don't announce the demotion, you just stop placing critical weight on weak beams. Loyalty stays sacred because it stayed selective. Drop this. I honor loyalty with clarity, not dependency. Now reputation, the shield that walks into rooms before you do. Weak reputations are built on noise, posts, poses, performances. Ruthless respect builds on record. The record is boring. You said 2 rounds, you gave 2 rounds. You said offline at 8, you were offline at 8. You said numbers by Monday, they arrived Sunday night. That kind of boredom becomes terrifying to chaotic people. They can't bait you because you don't play. They can't rush you because you won't trade accuracy for applause. You don't control what they feel, you control what they expect. That's power without theater. You'll feel the tug to be nice again when fatigue hits. Standards are heavy. Boundaries cost energy. Silence requires stamina. This is where you fall back on systems, not feelings. Build 3 rituals that survive bad days. 1. The non-negotiable hour. 60 minutes daily for the single action that most protects your future. Study, craft, outreach, training. No one gets it. Not even you. 2. The 2-sentence rule.
Every boundary delivered in 2 sentences or less. If you need more, you're bargaining. 3. The Sunday audit. Write where your time went last week and where it will go next. If your calendar doesn't reflect your values are decoration. These rituals hold you when motivation ghosts you. I want to tell you a story that earned its scar. A friend built a brand on being endlessly available. Clients adored him. Sleep didn't. He wore burnout like a private shame and kept saying yes because the money clapped. One quarter he went silent for 10 days, not out of strategy but collapse. Most of the love vanished. One client sent flowers. Another sent a concise message. We'll move your deadline. He rebuilt from there, with those people. He turned his availability into access with terms. He shrank his book and doubled his worth. Remember that when you're tempted to save everyone at your own expense.
Drop this. Respect first, rescue last. Your inner court decides if this sticks. That court has 3 chairs. Discipline sits in the first. It speaks softly and moves daily. Doubt sits in the second. It keeps you honest. Desire sits in the third. It keeps you burning. All 3 get a voice. Only discipline gets a vote. When desire begs for the shortcut, clout over craft, you thank it for the spark and hand it a plan. When doubt wants to cancel the risk, you let it interrogate the steps and then you move anyway. When discipline speaks, you obey without drama. The law of ruthless respect is, at its core, obedience to your own wise orders. You become the ruler you wish the world had, inside your own head. What about love? What about softness? What about being human? The old you thought ruthlessness meant empty heart, iron face. No. It means your heart lives behind gates you guard. It means you give softness to the worthy, not to the hungry holes that never fill. It means you can hold a crying friend without absorbing their storm. You can help a colleague without adopting their chaos. You can forgive without resuming access. That's not cruelty, that's conservation. And it gives you more love to go around because it stops leaking into places that only teach you to resent love. There will be a moment, count on it, when someone you care about calls you selfish for enforcing the standard. Don't bite the bait. If their answer is, I don't get as much of you, then your boundary is working. If their answer is, it made me feel unimportant, clarify without collapsing. I care about you. I also care about keeping my word to myself. Then stop talking. People who love you will learn the rhythm. People who loved your compliance will try to drum louder. Let the new beat be awkward. Awkward is a bridge to respect. You also need a way to recover quickly when you slip, because you will. You'll overexplain one day. You'll sit on a call that should have ended at minute 10. You'll say yes because the room clapped. The fix is immediate and unblaming. Mid-call, I need to pause here. We're past the container I agreed to. Mid-thread, I gave more context than needed. You don't apologize for correcting course. Correction is competence. The faster you do it, the faster your nervous system learns. We don't bleed out anymore. Train a tail. Pick one physical cue that you can use anywhere to remind yourself who you are. A thumb on your ring finger, a slow exhale through the nose, a single word in your head. Crown. Use it when your stomach flips, when the dig lands, when the room tilts. That micro-ritual is a hand on your shoulder from the you who refuses to shrink. You will be shocked how much power arrives with a single breath and a remembered word. Let's put steel in this with 7 closing reps you'll run this week. 1. One quiet win per day. Ship something without announcing. Log it privately. 2. One hard no. Deliver it in 2 sentences, full stop. 3. One loyalty check. Thank the person who did the unflashy right thing. Raise their access 1 notch. 4. One standard enforced. Consequence applied without lecture. 5. One strategic absence. Decline a room that wants performance over outcome. Use that hour to build. 6. One risk taken. Something aligned and scary. You answer fear with a plan, not a pause. 7. One self-respect deposit. Sleep, train, learn, or create when scrolling would be easier. Stack these and your reputation will harden into armor you don't have to hold up with your hands. If you felt a shift during this series, understand what that feeling is. Grief for the nice you and relief for the respected you. Grieve it. Thank it for getting you here. Then let it sit. You aren't abandoning goodness. You are refusing its counterfeit. Niceness is performance. Respect is policy. Policies protect futures. Let yours protect yours. There is a final test, and it will come when you're tired and tempted. Someone will offer you a win that requires you to break your own law just this once. The devil never brings a pitchfork. It brings a contract with your dream written on it in glitter. Turn the page. Find the clause that rents your peace. Circle it. Say no. Watch the room blink. Watch your stomach drop.
Then watch your future arrive a little closer, because you just proved to yourself that you are not purchasable with flattery or fear. That's the crown. That's the law. If this series rebuilt something inside you, act like it. Hit like because commitment loves proof. Share it with the one person who keeps bleeding for approval. Subscribe because week after week we train, not to be colder, but to be clearer, not to be cruel, but to be in command. And write your last pledge in the comments so your old habits have to stare at it every time they come knocking. I am uncomfortable. My standard is law. I give kindness with terms. I choose ruthless respect over nice every time.